And I agree with that. It does not feel like eBay protects its sellers anymore, unless you play by their rules.
You want me to set up a trap first so that I can scam instead.
That's a very interesting way to look at it. You're setting up a trap for your customer simply to protect yourself. That's wild, man. So as a lot of my viewers know, I was and am an eBay seller. And back in the day when they enacted their free returns policy, I was not one of the eBay sellers that was going to just hop on that train without a fight, because I knew that it was quite obvious that eBay was just simply trying to compete with Amazon, and they were planning to do it at the expense of their sellers. Because on Amazon, there are a lot of products that are backed by Amazon.com, though there are third-party sellers that will sometimes have to eat the costs of returns or shipping or whatever. And of course, as a third-party seller on either one of these platforms, it's a risk that you take. But with Amazon, you kind of knew what you were getting into as an Amazon seller. You kind of know how Amazon is. They accept returns a lot easier than a lot of other platforms do, at least at the time when free returns was enacted with eBay. So as soon as eBay made free returns a thing and tried to, dangle it in front of sellers like a little carrot, saying if you do free returns, you can be top rated plus. If you do free returns, you can get a credit back on your statement, blah, 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 blah. eBay tried to do all of these things to try to convince its sellers to go along with this madness. I tried it for a little bit. It really wasn't that bad. I didn't really have a lot of customers abuse it, but I have never been a fan of eBay free returns. But now I want to share something with you guys. As a seller who does not currently do free returns and has not done free returns in years, I found this little bit of information very, very interesting. Before I get any further into this video, I did want to let all of you guys know that I did start a second YouTube channel. It is linked down in the video description. If you would go over there and subscribe for me, I would be so grateful. Thank you again for all of your support. Now let's get back into the topic. So this little bit of information came from TikTok user The Hazel Domain, and this is actually an eBay free returns loophole. And it actually is a little crazy. Let's listen up and see what she has to say, and then we will discuss.
Something you might want to be aware of if you buy or sell on eBay. I'm going to start this with a transaction that I had a little while ago. I sold a cell phone to someone, and upon receiving the cell phone, this lady was angry that she needed a plan for the cell phone to make and receive calls. She thought it would just do that. And because she didn't want to buy a plan...
First of all, has anybody else had an eBay buyer this way? Anybody? I have had eBay customers like this, and they make it real hard to stay on the platform. Who literally buys a cell phone and just thinks that the service is included in what you just buy the cell phone and then you never have to pay for a cell phone plan? People, man.
And because she didn't want to buy a plan, she tried to return the phone to me. Now, I don't accept returns. My stuff is as is, no returns, and it is priced accordingly. Like, my stuff is rock bottom basement prices because I just want it to not go in the trash. So when I told this woman that I don't do returns, she immediately opened a case with eBay and said that the item was not as described. Now, eBay's policy, in case you haven't run into this, if this buyer says that the item was not as described, eBay will immediately find in the buyer's case and send them a shipping label, charge the seller for the shipping label, for the item to be returned to the seller, at which point the buyer receives a full refund.
Yeah, so that was actually one of the things I remember very, very early on in my YouTube channel when I was doing a lot of eBay content. I had a lot of people that were just like, oh, I'm just not going to accept returns. I'm just not going to accept returns. And one of the things that I always hit on was, surprise, surprise, you have to accept returns. You have to. You don't have to put it in your policy, or you don't have to have it be listed as you take returns in the listing. But if a buyer wants to return something, they're going to return it. Not only are they going to return it, but they're going to return it on your dime, because they're going to say it's not as described, even if it was, just so that they can get you to take the return so they can get their money back.
And the seller is out shipping 2 ways for this item. Now, I contacted eBay at the time and I said, how can I prevent this in the future? Because I sold this item, I said no returns, and they lied. And I have communications between me and the buyer saying that they lied. And can you look into this? And eBay said, no, we don't look into this. The buyer gets a refund and there's nothing you can do. And I said, how can I protect myself from this in the future? Because I can't do business like this. Here's the suggestion that I got. And I contacted eBay 3 different times to verify that this is what they want sellers to do. So the first thing you've got to realize about eBay is that most online retailers nowadays do free, no questions asked returns. Amazon very rarely charges return shipping. You get a free refund and Amazon just eats that, right? If you buy from Walmart, Walmart does free shipping both ways, just eats that. Even Temu will eat it most of the time. But with eBay, the seller is an individual person, and most individual people are not willing to eat that cost in order to keep the reputation.
Yeah, that's the thing. The sellers aren't willing to just openly eat that cost. That's why they made free returns optional, because they can't force the sellers to take free returns. It's an option. It's only, now hold on, let me go back. They eventually could force us to. Let's just be real. This is eBay's sandbox. eBay can do whatever eBay wants to do. eBay can force the sellers to do whatever eBay wants to force the sellers to do. So in the future, yeah, they probably could, say, yeah, you have to do free returns. But that's one of the things that sucks about playing an eBay sandbox, is that eBay wants to compete with all of the other online retailers, but eBay is not the same. eBay is different. It's apples and oranges. These big box retailers that sell online, they are not eBay, yet eBay wants to compete with them, and it hurts the sellers on the site. Let's continue to see what this suggestion is.
To keep the reputation of the platform afloat. But eBay still wants to compete on this front. So here's what they've come up with. And again, I talked to 3 separate customer service reps who all gave me this advice. To avoid this in the future, we highly suggest to offer 30-day free returns. This is a great way to increase sales and allows you to get to our top-rated seller status, which allows you the use of a partial refund tool and deduct up to 50% off a buyer's refund. This will compensate for some of the loss in value for the transaction. We also protect sellers that use this feature by automatically removing negative feedback for the transaction. Let me translate. If I say no returns, I'm not helping them compete with Amazon, so they're not going to have my back. But if I say that I accept free returns, I can then not do the free return. I can lie, say I got the item back damaged, give a partial refund, and eBay will then have my back. I contacted eBay again and again and again to clarify this.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. I've seen a lot of eBay sellers kind of coming out of the woodworks lately and almost angrily saying eBay does not support their sellers. They don't support their sellers. And I believe that. Like eBay sellers think that and feel that, and I agree with that. It does not feel like eBay protects its sellers anymore, unless you play by their rules. So if you're an eBay seller that bends over and kisses the ring, then eBay will have your back. So basically, these 3 eBay reps in separate times, and of course, she's like reading, right? Reading off of a screen. So she's got something in writing that says, hey, this is what you should do. According to eBay, sellers should offer 30-day free returns. Then when the item comes back, simply just give them a 50% refund, because that's all you have to give them. You don't have to give them 100%. Now, if they do an item not as described and you have to take it back and pay the return shipping, you are required to refund them in full, including the cost of their original shipping. A lot of people don't know that. If you get an item not as described return, that item will get returned not only on your dime, but then you will have to return everything back to them. That's one of the reasons why I started doing charge shipping, because if you do charge shipping, the charge shipping you don't have to refund if it's an item not as described. They can open a case with eBay and kind of force it, but you don't have to do it from the get-go, but you have to give them a 100% full refund of the purchase price. But when you do free returns, you're only required to give them 50% back.
Asking, you're telling me that in order to not be scammed, you want me to set up a trap first so that I can scam instead.
That's a very interesting way to look at it. That's a very interesting way to look at it as a seller. You're setting up a trap for your customer simply to protect yourself. That's wild, man.
And again and again and again, I was basically told yes. So when you see that a seller on eBay offers free returns, know that they only have to give you a 50% refund. eBay will back them in their decision to do that, and you will not be able to leave negative feedback, and neither will anyone else that they did that to.
And that's a point of view I don't think that a lot of people think about when it comes to free returns. I think a lot of customers will see free returns and it will make them feel comfortable to buy from that seller, because if for any reason they want to return it, they can. They don't have to lie and be like, oh, it doesn't work, when it really does, to get their money back. They can send it back for any reason at all. But what I think customers don't know, and now it's been brought to light, you can't leave a negative feedback for this seller. eBay will remove it because eBay protects the sellers that play by their rules. eBay protects the sellers that help them compete with Amazon and Walmart and Temu and all of these other online platforms that offer free returns. If you buy from a seller that offers free returns, if they have no negative feedbacks, can you really trust that? Are they actually a good seller? Now I'm starting to wonder, because any negative feedbacks that they might have would have been removed. But I thought that this was very eye-opening. Did you guys know this? Like, I think I knew this, but I didn't put two and two together. I knew from the very beginning, because they had told sellers, if you offer free returns, that courtesy negative feedback removals were a thing, because realistically, if you think about it, if a customer can return something at no cost to them for any reason, what reason do they have to leave a negative feedback? Like, what reason? So you, as a seller, can protect your account by offering free returns, because you won't have a bunch of people just leaving negative feedbacks for no reason, because they can return it if they don't like it. So what reason do they have to leave a negative feedback? But I completely forgot about the whole 50% refund thing and how that can play into all of this. And I never thought about it as setting up a trap for your customer, but that's kind of what you're doing, because you're basically saying, okay, customer, go ahead and buy this from me, but if you return it, I'm only giving you half your money back, because I'm going to watch my bottom line. And then you won't be able to leave me a negative feedback, because eBay's going to remove it if you do. I don't know who's shady in that situation. Is it the seller, or is it eBay for allowing the seller to do it? I honestly don't even know how to feel about it after seeing it from this perspective. Let me know down in the comments. What are your thoughts and feelings? And while you're down there, please hit the thumbs up if you like content like this. I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell. That way you're notified whenever I post my next video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.